I got a question for you guys. What is Illuminati? Illuminati is a secret society first founded in 16th century Spain under its original name Illuminados, meaning the Enlightened One. The concept of Illuminados was then adopted by Johann Adam Weishaupt, a German philosopher from the 17th century who then incorporated his own philosophies and concepts to create what is today known as the Illuminati. Please keep in mind that Illuminati is an evolved form of other schools of thought, so though the name may change with the passing of times, the agenda stays the same. Many people have associated Illuminati with being a satanic cult because of his system of belief and the mysterious rituals surrounding his organization. So to give you a good understanding of why and how Illuminati is associated with Satan, I will make researchable correlations with Illuminati and the Satan of the Holy Bible, and showing how, through the use of semantics, philosophy, and symbolism, man has been convinced to side with Satan, who is the great deceiver, and detach himself from God, the truth. Illuminati teaches its members that religion intentionally prevents certain facts of certain subjects from becoming public, to arouse curiosity and intrigue in the secrets which they claim to hold answers to. In the same way that in Genesis chapter 3 verse 5, the snake convinced Eve that God was preventing Adam and Eve from becoming knowledgeable and wise by preventing them from eating of the tree of knowledge. Whereas the snake says, God doesn't want you to eat of it because he knows your eyes will be open and you shall be like gods. But what Illuminati won't explain is that it's based on the theory of empiricism, which teaches that knowledge comes solely from sensory experiences and nothing more. Sensory experiences means anything dealing with the nurturing of the five senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Which excludes God as the beginning of knowledge and wisdom, as stated in the Holy Bible, the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 10, as well as excluding the soul, whose experience is distinct to that of the body, according to the book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 19, which states that the spiritual nature of man is separate and distinct from the body in which it dwells. Philosophical skepticism deals solely with sensory experience, hence why the eye is the symbol of illumination and not anything correlated with God. The eye determines what is to be believed and what is not to be believed. Except Satan, of course, who comes in the form of deceptive doctrines, enlightenment, or knowledge, which they then consume as mental food and begin reflecting its concepts and ideas of right and wrong here in the physical world. Illuminati, as some might not know, means the Enlightened One. Non-coincidentally, the true name of Satan is Lucifer, which means light bearer, Enlightened One, or morning star. This is the reason why most people have been convinced to worship on the day of the sun, Sunday, which is the first day of the week, the day that light was created, instead of the seventh, which is the day we rested. By the 18th century, a campaign was launched to discredit the idea that the soul or spirit existed, with the sole purpose of detaching man from God and his morality, which is based, of course, on the Holy Bible. Once the plan was drafted by the master architects of the Illuminati, they began by targeting personalities that felt displaced, churchgoers that made no change to their lives, lesbians and gays who felt out of place in society, or even overly sexual men and women looking for solutions to their problems. In 1879, William Wundt opened the Institute for Experimental Psychology. Its purpose? To identify man as nothing more than responses and behaviors triggered by chemicals and signals in the mind, almost in the same way etymologists identify insects. Psychology, in essence, turns the psychologist into the logical voice of the patient's conscience. The voice then nurtures selfishness by repeating the same redundant therapeutic question over and over. How did it make you feel? By the 1880s, divorce rate increased by 1% every 4 to 6 years, from the 1880s when divorce rate was at 3% to 100 years later when divorce rate is now at 50%. Eventually and unsuspectedly, psychologists had the power to label everything that you feel is wrong with you as a mental disorder. People were no longer held accountable for failed relationships because psychologists now helped you point the finger at the absentee and call them toxic. Scapegoating. Too much faith in your destiny then became classified as narcissism, and anything that goes against their norms for society became a dysfunction or a disorder. And thinking outside the box became abnormal in a society where everyone has been indoctrinated and socially conditioned into the triangle. By the 1890s, church attendance and affiliation goes down by 75%, and drug use goes up from 0% to more than 9% of the total US population. But what a lot of people don't know is that before drug wars and cartels, it was the American pharmaceutical companies who promoted and legally prescribed cocaine, which was at that time known as the wonder drug, to our kids. That's when dropout rate starts skyrocketing. By the 1990s, by the 1900s, the second portion of the plan kicks in, the dumbing down of American children. Rather than challenging the mind of our kids, information is deliberately dumbed down and oversimplified to accommodate those who can assimilate to more sophisticated information, which ultimately destroys the ability of our children to think critically. From the 1960s to the 1980s, the sexual revolution was executed, which, by the way, had nothing to do with women's rights, being that women were granted the right to vote almost 100 years before the sexual liberation movement occurred. But because of semantics, many women were misled to believe that the sexual revolution was a revolution of the sexual liberation to gain you vote the rights. When in all actuality, it was to promote the normalization of the promiscuous woman, the birth control pill, public nudity, exhibitionism, premarital sex, and homosexuality. We can almost say that they are the predecessors of the vagina hat wearing women's march, the modern LGBTQ and P movement, and Planned Parenthood. To some, the Illuminati is nothing more than a myth. And this is why I've decided to connect the dots for you and create this informative Illuminati video. The Illuminati symbol was renamed the Eye of Providence by the designers of the American dollar bill. The same eye can be traced throughout almost every civilized society, from the modern times in America and Europe to ancient India and ancient Egypt as the Eye of Horus. Notice the accompanying snake, which is a symbol of wisdom and symbolism, Egyptology, and theology in the Holy Bible in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. The Eye of Providence is supposed to represent the eye of God watching over mankind according to the official description given by Wikipedia online. But as someone who has studied symbolism and theology for almost 25 years, I can tell you that it was a complete and absolute lie. Now let me break it down to you using symbolism so that you can understand where I get my facts from. Now, if you take a look at the eye, you notice that the eye has light deflecting off of it, meaning that it is not the source of light, but instead it is a seeker of light claiming to be the source. I can also corroborate my conclusion by also pointing at the fact that the eye is encased within the triangle, symbolically representing physical limitation. If it were the eye of God, it would be outside of the boundaries of the physical triangle, because the God of the Bible is not limited by physical structure. Also take into consideration that the triangle is not producing light, but instead it is obstructing the light. This can be corroborated by looking at the fact that although it is a triangle, the rays of light that are being emitted are in a symmetrically circular pattern. Also take into consideration that the bottom half of the pyramid is a symbolic depiction of an ever-growing America, hence why the top is missing. The triangle at the top is not part of the original structure on the bottom. This can be corroborated by looking at the fact that the bottom part of the pyramid is three-dimensional and the top half of the pyramid is one-dimensional. Now, the birth date is written in Roman numerals, which we were all taught in school. MDCCLXXVI, the birth date of the New World Order execution, which marks the birth date of the founding of a new country, America, that will establish global dominance and declare the Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means the new order for the coming ages. And what is the order for the coming of the ages? Well, it's the one world order. And to corroborate this conclusion, just read the ribbon on the mouth of the American eagle. If you read carefully, it says E pluribus unum, which in ancient Latin, it means out of many, there will be one. One world order. Out of many nations, there will be one. Out of many forms of currency, there will be one. The one world order established through the control of politics, through government, by declaring a legislative war against our morality. Example, what the politicians are doing now with the gender neutral bathrooms, the same-sex advocacy, etc., etc. And currency will become a way of starving the nations that refuse to adopt the currency of the New World Order. A currency that, according to the Bible, Revelations 13, verse 17, describes the rise of the one world order will be distinct because of its numerical value, 666. Now, take a look at what I did here. For those of you who don't know, what I did here was I did something called symmetry. What I did was I split it down exactly in the middle so nobody can say you can do this with anything. And then from there, I worked towards the points underneath the top portion of the triangle and then the bottom base of the triangle. And it led me to MASON, which equals Mason, Freemasons. If you notice, above the triangle, you also have 6 points made up of 13 stars. And if you look at the eagle is also 6 points if you take into consideration the 2 wings, the 2 talons, both his feet, the head, and the tail. That's a 6-point eagle. Now you take that 6-point eagle, you take this 6-point star above it, and you take the 6-point star on the other side, and you got 666. You will not be able to buy, sell, or do anything without it in accordance to Revelations chapter 13. Now, I wanted to make this short and simple because this video is kind of getting a little too long. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a whole bunch of symbols that you see daily, but you don't know that are actually associated with Illuminati. If you notice here, you have America Online, but if you look at it real carefully, it's actually the triangle with the eye on it. You can see this also in Scream Gem, the eye right there. You can see it in Fidelity. You see how the pyramid is detached from the tip. Then you have NBC, Paramount, sorry about that. Then you have, when we were speaking about 666, where you can buy or sell, not only is the dollar bill covered in the marks of the 666, but also the code bars. If you count the amount of small bars between big bars, you notice that there's 6 spaces in between, which equals 666. Even Fox News Network. In all actuality, in numerology, the number 10 doesn't exist because the number 10 is only 1 and 0 put together. So in numerology, the only numbers that exist are from 1 through 9. Fox, 666. Also, if you take a look at the Google icon, you notice that it's actually the 666 turned around. Even the Monster drinks. If you're Hebrew or you know somebody who is Hebrew, they can verify this. These 3 symbols right here actually represent Vav, which is the 6th character of the Jewish alphabet. 666. Tell me you don't see the 666s here. Woolworth. Heineken. I'm pretty sure you're bugging out like, wait a minute, I don't see the 3 6s in Heineken. That's because you're not looking carefully. But because I'm into symmetry and symbolism, I can find it easier than you can, and I'm going to show you how right now. Bang! There you go. 6 6 6. It has the star right here, and look, 6 6 6. And I can take you back just to show you that the leaves haven't changed. Let me take you back real quick. You see how the 6s are still there? They're still there. 6 6. See? Ford. Yes, Ford. Adobe. Handmark. Logitech. That's the all-seeing eye right there. Just look at the iris. CBS. Just look at the eye. Time Warner Cable. Just look at the eye. And the number 6 enveloped within it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. PBS. The eye. And here is one of the biggest symbols that people don't even catch. The apple that has been bitten into is actually a symbolic reference point to the knowledge of good and evil, because if you remember, it wasn't until Adam and Eve bit from the apple that they became knowledgeable about evil. And even KKK is associated with the 33 degrees, which is 33-degree Masons. A lot of people don't know why the Freemasons and a lot of these groups use the number 33. So I'm going to explain to you. The 33 is in reference point to the age that Jesus Christ died, being that that is the highest peak of godliness. They're trying to proclaim to be demigods. So the best way to embody being a god is by taking people through 33 degrees, each degree representing 1 year in the life of Jesus Christ. And for those of you who really don't look at the dollar bill, I did this for you. I super enhanced it, and you can find it on your own dollar bill. What we have here is the symbol of the Bohemian Grove, where the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and all these secret societies go to basically have sexual orgies with kids and such. You can see the owl right there, and if you look into the owl's eyes, you notice that the owl's eyes are actually light. They're light. They're not black. They're actually deflecting light off of it, and it's heading right there on the top of the number 1 on the right hand side. Just use a magnifying glass if you have to, and you'll see that this is not a lie. There you go again. I super enhanced it. Look at it right there. Michael Jackson. Yep. Let me tell you something. So many artists and so many companies and corporations are out there with the same symbols. It's always the same symbol. Is the pyramid with a circle in the middle, or is the 3 6s somehow hidden within calligraphy, or it's the all-seeing eye. These are the 3 symbols that you need to watch out for. I try to consolidate this video for you to give you an understanding of what it is that you're looking for. Every time that you use the dollar bill, you're actually contributing to the empowerment of the 666. I hope this video was informative. As usual, I tell everybody, stay informed, research anything that I show you, because ultimately, it will always lead you back to the truth. God bless America, and stay informed, my fellow patriots.
Century, doing something mean to it, doing better than anybody you ever seen. Do it.